I kind of wanted to jump into something really quick
Go ahead.
that I think is probably for a lot of women frustrating. Dating.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so funny. I was literally, well, are you just saying dating right now in quarantine? Is
Dating
it all?
overall, it is not the jam. It is not the thing to do.
Not anymore.
I'm
It's so
over
funny.
it.
I'm over it too. It's so
Can I
funny.
just fall in love with somebody without dating? I would love that. I just want like my soulmate to just appear. Yes, drink on that.
Yes to that. But it's so funny that you say this because I literally was just talking to my mom and I was talking to her. I'm like, oh, like, what would you think are some interesting topics for like us to talk about, you know? And she's like, where are all the good men? And I was
A man. Why is it a woman?
started laughing so hard. She's like, but really, like you and Ruth are like single. You're beautiful. She's just our biggest fan, which I was like,
I'm her
thank
biggest
you
fan,
so
so it's fair.
thank you so much. You're too nice. But she's like, you guys are like so ambitious and you do so well for yourselves. Like, where are these men that are stepping up to the plate? And I was like, damn straight. Like,
Great question. I would like to know the answer to that.
dating. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear your kind of experience of dating, just whether you want to go in the last couple of years, if you want to go this
I mean,
last.
I could totally. I'll go all in. I mean, I started a very my most extreme like longest relationship with a great guy that I did eventually marry when we started dating when I was 19,
Oh,
and we had a great relationship. We had our own problems. Like we started, I think, really young, and we broke up a couple times in between. But then we were together in totality until I was like 32.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm 35 now. And the one thing I never recognized is I didn't ever have a period of like normal dating. Like I dated in high school and stuff like that, but like in my adulthood, I didn't have a period of normal dating. So I have no idea how to do it. I hate the dating apps. I I hate the whole like process of dating in general. I hate having to appear a certain way. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm over it. Like
Right.
done with it.
That's to dating. Ugh, God.
Yes.
And
I
how long were y'all married?
We were actually only married for a short time period. We
But then
dated it, yeah, and then we got back together and broke up and we got divorced and got back together. Like we really wanted to make sure.
just really nail it. Like, I love that. No,
Yeah.
knowing you both, I'm glad that you guys had that.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. Like, yeah, I mean, I used to joke that I was my brother and sister are serial monogamists. They kind of have literally always been in a relationship. We just talked about it the other day. They both have only been single a year
Wow.
between the last three relationships they've had, and the last three relationships that they have been at least 5 years.
Wow.
I'm like, y'all are chill. Like, wow. Me, on the other hand, I'm a little more picky. Not that they're not picky, but in the sense of like, if I'm in, I'm in.
Yeah.
And so I like testing the waters a bit more. But it's fucking sucked. I totally agree with you. I'm so over it. I feel like I'll get my hopes up over someone, or vice versa. Someone will really have their hopes up for me, and I'm like, yo, this isn't what you think it is. And they're like, no, you're wifey. And I'm like, no, no, I'm not. And then like I almost took a sip, but I'm like having a panic attack talking about it. But like genuinely, yeah, I think it's so hard, especially now. But you're right about having to like, there are kind of dating rules, right? Putting your best foot forward, noticing red flags or ignoring red flags. Like we could do a whole thing on that. And it's also
I'm good at the blinders. I'm like, no, it's good. Let's keep going.
fine. It's totally cute. And I'm not undermining being attracted to someone, or like obviously, like I'm not undermining myself as a young woman. Like you can be attracted to someone and see past their
Of course, yeah.
shortcomings, right? But yeah, I think lately I've had a lot of, I think this person's vibing with me, or ooh, I like that person. I want to get to know them better. And then as soon as I put my eggs in the basket, either they're not what I thought they were, which is totally fine, not like a negative. It's just like, oh, we don't vibe.
Doesn't work. Yeah, totally.
Or it's yeah, or I'm really into them and then maybe they're not ready, you know, and I think there's a whole timing issue of it too. Also, fun fact, I was in a relationship for 4 years and I broke it off and it like ruined my life. And not like ruined my life in a bad way. Like I'm so glad I went through it, but it was such a spiritual, sorry to be like,
No, please go
like
into it.
it was such a, turn in my life because I was turning 24. I had been with this man for, like I said, just short of 4 years.
Yeah.
And we lived together. He was like fully integrated into my family. He's a great man. I still love him so much. But yeah, I think it was, yeah, I needed
how we both have exes that we love and care about so much, but we're like, yeah, it didn't work. But like, and I think that with kind of like switching to relationship, I feel like relationships, so many people like have this rule of like, oh, it didn't work out, like we should hate each other.
yeah.
Like, I don't co-sign that. I feel like that shouldn't be the norm. And that is such the norm. Like you're supposed to hate your ex.
Such a good point to bring up. I love that you said this, Ruth, because I just was having a conversation with someone that is trying to flirt with me and is trying to probably date me. But I talked to him about his exes and it just naturally came up. I wasn't like, tell me about your exes.
Right. No, yeah.
It happened to come up in some shape or form. And he said that he's not friends with any of his exes. And I was like, that seems like a red flag.
It really does.
Yeah. He was like talking like, that's natural. Women, he was like, it's hard for us to coexist. He's like, I don't even follow them on Instagram. And I was like, wow, like you cut them off. And I'm like, and I get like having boundaries. I totally,
no, for sure. Yeah.
Totally shift that. But I do agree with like, I don't co-sign on like, if you've shared a love, especially for a long time with someone, like how could you genuinely hate them unless they really did you dirty?
So I say that all the time. So we've never had this conversation, and that is exactly what I say too. I'm like, how could you like commit to somebody, have them in your life, choose them as a partner, and then didn't work out, and now all of a sudden they're like the devil? Like, yeah, I don't get that.
It is scary and I get it. Like my aunt, she had a relationship where there was cheating involved, very, very malicious cheating that, was addressed and was supposed to be fixed and wasn't fixed and kept happening. And they ultimately got a divorce. They obviously weren't right for each other. Obviously, she has some animosity towards the man. Like, I get it because she's been hurt. But I do think it's that I think it comes from a place of hurt. It comes from like, you fucked me over. Now, fuck you for the rest of your life. And it's like,
totally.
Woo.
And I almost feel like the people that hate their exes that much kind of still love them.
that part. I thought that I was like, you really can't go like
somebody. No, you can't hate somebody that like viscerally if you don't have some kind of emotion for them.
Yeah, it's like when you like really strongly dislike someone and they're like, you're probably disliking the things about them that you see in yourself, right? That kind of mentality. So it's like, yeah, if you really like strongly hate and loathe the partner, you have to love them. So there's some section of you that really still loves them.
Yeah.
So I think it is healthier, hopefully, that both me and you can coexist with our exes.
I think we're good, like level people that have kind of like come to like terms with different things that have happened with our exes and like created still a love for that. But back to dating. What is this?
Right. That was my bad.
No, I took it there, and I'm just like bringing it back around. But like, it's another thing that I wanted to say. I feel like with women, like you were just saying, like when you recognize it's not working or you're not interested, you're very verbal about it. You're very much like, hey, you know what? Like, this is great. You're great. That's not what I want. And then it's just free, open, and honest.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like, and maybe this is just also from my perception, and maybe I don't know if your perception is the same, but I feel like men, it's very different. I know, like, I think we've both talked about different experiences that we've had where it's like, it started off as one thing and you're just so thrown and there's no clear communication of what happened.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think women, and it's not always, it's not like a case,
No, yeah.
it's a case by case basis, but at least with my group of friends, like you and some other women that I'm really close with, and with fluctuating sexualities, right? All are very open and communicative in their relationships. They're like, listen, this is not working. Oh, this is working. I really, really love you. I can't be with you anymore. You know, all of those emotions. But I've been talking to men before, especially since my last relationship, where I'm like, oh, why are they so hard to read? Like, they seem so interested in me. They actually pursued me, and now they're giving me the cold shoulder, or now they're acting aloof, and nothing is more frustrating for me in dating than someone who's aloof. That's someone that's like, yeah, I really don't care. Yeah, if we want to, like, okay, I don't want to just not hang out. And it's just interesting. I think you're right there. We've experienced, just from our stories, I know we've talked about it. Yeah, I am the first, I think, in all relationships, not only romantic, but, you know, friends, family, I'm like, lay it down on the line if something's not working, or if I'm upset about something, or I feel hurt about something. And yet I don't feel like I'm matched with that always with the men in my life that I've dated.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And the kind of fucked up part about it is like sometimes when you're in those situations, those are the times you feel the most attracted.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I know, that's a whole other thing. Like, the aloof thing, I hate it, but it's so mysterious and sexy. Like, to not know if they
Right.
fully like
But
you.
is it sexy or is it, I think we had this conversation before too, where it's like you get so used to kind of like getting what you wanted that when you don't, then it becomes like this thing where you're like, but wait.
Like, I told the universe I wanted you.
That is, you kind of belong to me.
You already, like, you're here. So no, that's 1000% happened to me, and I do recognize that in myself, as far as probably a not so helpful trait is, yeah, I typically get things I put my mind to. And
well, Mom said we're both pretty ambitious people, and we're both very much like always like thinking about what the next thing is, or trying to like create like opportunities for ourselves, or like thinking of dreams and goals and plans, and like so then when you set your eyes on a goal,
whether that be a hot man or a podcast,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it is interesting, because I've definitely gotten, I think I get most hurt in those situations, because I'm like,
sure, yeah.
who said that you can't like me?
Who gave you permission?
Who told you that's even an option? Which is ridiculous. And I'll drink to that. I'm sorry for anyone I put through it.
Amen. Because we've all been in both of those positions, right? We've been in the position where we're chasing somebody. We've been in the position where somebody's chasing us.
Mm-hmm.
And either way, you can either hurt or get hurt by somebody. And I don't necessarily think that all the time I think most of the time it's not malicious or intentful. I think it is just like it either works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been on both sides of that coin.
Yeah. I a little follow-up question, if we have a little time.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in the situation where you've told someone blatantly, like, you know what, I know you really like me, but I'm sorry, I don't think we have the chemistry, or it's just not the time, I'm not in the headspace right now, and then they double down?
Oh, for sure. Oh.
I feel like men, like women, I feel like do take that answer, or maybe they're getting subliminal messages, you know, maybe the guy's not texting them and stuff like that. That's when I think women are more like, are you sure?
Yeah.
You know, like, but if they get a hard no, I feel like women take it, cry, and then they move on.
Yeah.
When I feel like men, I'm told hard no's.
Yeah.
They're like,
but I can change your mind.
yeah, I'm sure. And they're like, but we just have such good chemistry. I'm like,
right.
Who says that? Is that you? Are you saying?
Who decided?
And I think it's interesting. I've experienced that a lot since my breakup, because I didn't experience that as much before, because I was more the flighty one. I was more like, nah, maybe not. I'm in college and doing my own thing. And then after, now that I'm like woman, I am like, getting into these like flings and stuff. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to waste my time on this. I'm sorry. And then they're like, but no, it's great. We have a great thing going. I'm like, do we?
I want to ask you actually a separate question, still in line with dating, but
Yeah.
do you feel like dating at 25 is going to feel different than dating at 35?
Oh yeah. I mean, it feels so different because of also the pandemic. Like
Oh, for sure, yeah.
this adds a whole other layer of like dating and virtually seeing people and being like, yummy. And then seeing them in person, you're like, oh, maybe not the thing for me. And I think like I'd love to be going out in the sense of like just going out to dinner with you and seeing and then like organically meeting someone. Like I don't want to have to deal or like rely on these dating apps or Instagram to find my next boyfriend. But yeah, I think 35, I'm excited for that. I feel like that will be way less bullshit on both ends, like both men and women. You're like, no, not.
I'm here to tell you.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so funny. I would hope, like, I think it would be more like you were saying, like, we've talked about this and who you've been, talking to in previous
Scenarios.
years and scenarios. Yeah. And like, I love how much you lay out your goals and your ambitions and what you've already worked on and your trajectory. Like, I think I wish that's more in the dating now, but I feel like I'm supposed to be shopping around, like, because of my age. People are like, it ain't that serious. And I'm like, but I like serious. Like, I don't necessarily need to find my husband next, but I think I'd like to date someone seriously if I had that connection with them.
Yeah. And that's interesting. I think at every age you kind of have different elements of struggles that exist within that, and that's a great point. I think that at your age, it's like, no, it's supposed to be casual. It's supposed to be this, like this is what the norm is,
Yeah.
and it's supposed to be like abnormal for you to want a serious relationship. That's stupid for one. But yeah,
Yeah.
I can see how that exists, kind of like in that age range.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's one of those things that, yeah, I hear like, go have fun, go like sleep around. And I'm like, that doesn't sound much fun to me. Like it does.
Horrible.
It does and it doesn't. Like I totally understand the appeal, but then my personality type and how I date, like I'm like, tell me about your family.
Yeah.
And, and it's like I hate to be like that, but that's just my personality type, whether I'm casual with someone or not.
Totally. I think that we've talked about that too. Just like we're just kind of like, even with our friendships, we're like, let's go deep. Let's talk about shit that matters. Let's talk about like your childhood and your traumas, and let's unpack all of that shit. That's even more so with dating.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like the utmost level of intimacy.
Yeah.
And to kind of bring it back to your original talk about like hating dating and like having to look a certain way or appear like put together and whatnot. I think that's one thing that I love being in a relationship, or why relationships are so appealing right now, is because you get to peel back those layers. You get to just be like chilling in your PJs and like, I cook on weekends.
Yeah.
You gonna join me or not? And then it's not like, oh, I have to get ready because we're going to see a movie. And it's like you don't have to plan it out so much. It's more like just existing with one another. And I do crave that kind of connection.
No, I agree with you. I think there's a comfort level that you can't really get outside of a relationship, especially when dating, because you don't like, and of course every woman like knows her quote unquote flaws and tries to like, and I'm not so much talking about even like emotional, it's like your physical flaws, like you want to like hide certain things or put makeup on or like
keep the lights down.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Romantic.
There's no, just cover your eyes. It is interesting. I think, and we're so self-critical. I think women in general, but young people probably in general. And then, if you have that intimacy, you kind of take away that facade. You have that trust with them that they've already stuck through certain things that you maybe thought they would have left at, and then you're like, oh no, they like me for me, and then you can be fully. So I do crave that, unfortunately.
Dinner.
Yeah, but dating.
to that or to not to that?